N8N or AI automations that are valuable to companies, essentially, right? And this comes a little bit from some of the, I don't know if is it feedback or input that I'm getting, and I want to try to focus on this a little bit more, which is there's so much AI, right? There's so many different things to do. There's thousands and thousands of different N8N templates you can find, and there's different things that you can focus on. But if you try to focus on everything, then the world gets very blurry, right? And so the idea is here are a set of N8N/AI automations that would benefit companies, right? And so if these were the ones that maybe you focused on specifically initially, these are the ones that companies are looking for, right? Or should be looking for. And again, like some companies right now are not necessarily, they don't even realize, they don't know what they don't know, right? I get that phraseology a lot when it comes to AI. And so these are the ones that make a lot of sense and that you should be targeting. And as we've said, like, you want those AI automations that will provide the greatest ROI or help companies with their pain points. And these are them. These are the ones that that we should be looking at. News. So, I mean, OpenAI is doing, I feel like, has news every day. But one thing that I saw that came up from a client, and I didn't realize this is slightly old news. It's about a week and a half old, which is basically, 10 years in AI time. I don't know if anybody else saw this, that OpenAI, ChatGPT, you're now going to be able to buy things in their platform, right? And so they are going to start to, I think they did it with Etsy, I think is maybe the first one that you can definitely do it with. And then companies are able to apply to get access to do this. But this is something, again, that like you could potentially, is a brand new sort of business, right? Where, there was people who do Google ads, there's people who do SEO, there's now AIO, right? But you can also set it up for companies so that users of ChatGPT can buy their products directly in app. I don't know if anybody else saw this or has tried this already, but OpenAI, which started as basically, when you think about ChatGPT, when it was first introduced to me, was this platform where people were just talking to AI, essentially. It's like, oh, look, you can converse with it. And then when I started using it, it was like, oh, no, like this thing will do your work for you, right? Like this is way cooler. And now they're really sort of opening it up. And I've always said this, or not always said this, but there is going to be a time fairly soon where AI and technology are basically interchangeable concepts, where essentially all technology has AI in it and as a central part of it. And I think if you look at what OpenAI is doing, they are taking a lot of these aspects of our everyday sort of technological experience and really trying to, put ChatGPT and OpenAI in the middle of it. Even if you look at the way Sora 2 is, one of the aspects of Sora 2 that I didn't realize until I got on there is that it is very like, they're starting their own social media platform with that. And so, they've already started to become one of the major sort of growing search engines, right? And then now they're going to be an e-commerce hub, a social media platform, an app store, right? I think in these ways, we're really going to see these major differences in how, we use AI, how AI is becoming part of, again, technology, but then also, new, like they're saying, like, well, AI is going to displace workers, or, like people are going to lose their job. These are brand new jobs that are being created, right? Where, you can now be potentially a ChatGPT influencer, right? You can work with companies on AIO. You can work with them on how to get their products on ChatGPT, how to build apps for them in the ChatGPT App Store. So this is a very kind of different way. And again, like all this stuff is new, right? And so it's not that good yet, I would say, but give it a few years. And if you look at what their market share is already and how they're just sort of bringing the whole experience together in their platform, it's pretty amazing. This was like the new apps days on Facebook. Yeah, I totally agree. In OpenAI Dev Day, they talked about apps, publication, and monetization. Absolutely. And I think also, I was saying, I think that they are going to figure out a way on how to monetize all of this stuff. If you look at how Google works and how they did Google Ads, and also, like I was just talking to a client a few days ago about Google Ad spam protection. And I don't know if anybody on here has experience with using Google Ads recently. Like, it is very spammy. And, if you spend money on Google Ads, or your clients are spending money on Google Ads, there's an incredible number, especially if it's e-commerce. It's a little bit better because the scammers aren't necessarily going to want to buy things. But if it is lead generation and form submission, then it's a mess right now. And, so that Google is sort of cannibalizing itself with some of its policies that it has now. That's leaving the door open for new solutions in here. And then again, the same thing, if you look at where Hollywood is right now, Hollywood's business model is a mess. And so AI movies and television shows are coming. Whether they're going to be good or not at first, I don't know, but they are for sure coming. Yeah, you have to sign up for the Shopify ChatGPT experience. There's like an application. I was just looking into this because somebody brought this up to me. I was like, no, you can't buy things in ChatGPT. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess as of like 2 weeks ago, there is a process to start to set up your product to be bought directly through ChatGPT. And then pretty soon, maybe like services, right? Like they have products, but then, and I know they're going to do something also where they're going to be the new AI LinkedIn or something like that, where they are setting it up to be a marketplace for AI services and for AI, what would you say, workers, I guess, which almost sounds counterintuitive. Ooh, how do I even say it? Fiji Simo is an OpenAI, so we should expect many pattern of meta monetization. Sora 2 is a must. Let's see. So social media marketing. Yeah, they're turning that into, again, like these AI native, AI first versions of all this other stuff. And it's weird to think, if you see Google and Facebook are sort of trying to compete with OpenAI for like AI aspects, but then ChatGPT has basically won that race, and now it's coming for what it does best, right? Where now it's like, well, instead of YouTube, we have Sora 2. Instead of Google Ads and SEO, get ready for AIO and buy now placement within their platform. If you're an e-com, be sure to allow AI robots to crawl your site. Well, of course, yeah. AI robots are the best for crawling. All right. We are going to get to our talk today pretty soon. Barry Williams, are you new? Or Barry Davidson, I guess. Let's see, who else? Alec, are you new? Hard to tell when nobody has picture. I know Code Zero is not new. I know Elsa was here yesterday. Georgetta, of course. Alec, hey, how's it going? Are you new?
No, man, I was
talking
over you yesterday like crazy.
Oh, okay, that's because your logo is totally different. And your name placement is different. Like yesterday you had, but I can recognize the voice as soon as you started talking. I was like, oh, nope, not new at all. Sanjay, of course, has been here. Paul, I'm not sure about if anybody is new and wants to drop something in the chat or turn on their mic and let us know what brought you here. Go for it. Luis, it does sound like you're new.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Hey, how's it going? Okay, if anybody wants to talk about, if you're new, what you're looking to get out of AI Profit Boardroom, go ahead. Otherwise, we are going to get started fairly soon.
Jeff,
go for it.
Anybody talk?
You can talk if you want.
Yeah, Jeff, I was just wondering, like, I haven't had hands-on on that, but ChatGPT agents, do this really, because that's have similar features how N8N have, right? Like, are we sure, like, after this, we can use the ChatGPT agents itself instead of N8N integration or anything going forward, or how that going to be like?
Well,
Because Mhm.
well, I mean, I think that going well, I don't know yet. Like, I mean, I'll tell you, like we did a demo on Tuesday, I
Yeah.
think, of Agent Kit. I don't know if it's totally ready to, supplant N8N. I don't see that right now. I think that it has, interesting functionality to it. But then also there is an aspect where, clients are going to want what clients want, or you're going to be comfortable with what you're comfortable with. And so N8N does have a huge amount of the market share as far as it goes with, and it's the same type of thing. Like if you have clients who have a social media presence on Instagram, they're not all of a sudden just going to drop Instagram and move over to Sora 2, right? So I do think, and then I have not seen, I've heard about it that you can integrate Make and N8N into, using MCP into these agent kit, but then you still need to do N8N then, it sounds like, right? So I don't think just dropping N8N makes sense. However, I do think that adding agent kit to your toolkit does make sense.
Okay, because I have only one query, because so many chat like Google, we have some Gemini, and
Right,
ChatGPT has their own, and then we have Claude. If everybody start having this agent architecture,
right,
then at least N8N is separate from all these models, and still
right.
we can use these APIs, right? Okay.
Right, and I agree with that also. Like, and that is the issue because we saw that. I forget what Google's is called, the one that they did where you can just type in natural language and it'll generate it, but then it would only let you use Gemini, right? And then the same thing you're saying, like if you're using the Agent Kit builder, it's only letting you use GPT. It's not letting
Exactly.
you bring in DeepSeek or anything like that. And so they are somewhat limited, but then again, it depends on the client because Agent Kit, one of the good things about it is that it does connect fairly easily with front ends. And
Correct.
yeah, so like, it's all about use cases. But I would say that there is probably, you can get sort of overwhelmed by all these different choices. Somebody did have their hand up at one point. Was that Barry or I forget? I did see a hand up at one point. Or go for it.
So let me pull over. I'm really sorry that there's gonna be background. But
No.
anyway, so my question is regarding that he talked about custom GPTs on the
Yeah.
video, Julian. I'm talking about the beginning, the intro module. I'm interested in learning how I could use the custom GPTs for commercial use, and can it be used to help companies and can be monetized? And the other question is regarding, you said instead of SEO, it will be AIO. That
Yeah.
would be a video topic.
Okay, that is actually, so I'm looking for topics. I'm gonna write that down.
How to make websites AIO ready or something like that. I don't know.
A great idea. Thank you, Barry.
Okay, I'm going to put myself on mute again. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Okay. Custom GPTs. I do think, maybe this is another thing where we're going to test this out. This might be a continuation. I feel like instead of going down the custom GPT route, you may want to do the agent kit route instead because of its functionality and flexibility. We have not done a side-by-side comparison. I might do that really quick one day just to see what the difference is, because I think that custom GPTs was their original platform for this. I do think that potentially Agent Kit is the evolution of that concept, because then you are able to take that agent system and export it out of ChatGPT in a way that I don't know if you, I mean, it's been a while since I've done custom GPTs, but I feel like at least when I was working on them, they were native to the ChatGPT platform, and that was a little prohibitive. Sora 1 was a total fail. Sora 2 is going hot more than Meta AI. So, well, I mean, their app is for sure going pretty hot, even though it is invite only. You can do a GPT that solves the problem, make it suggest your links organically in his answers. You can also suggest affiliate links. Okay. Cool. All right, let's get into our presentation for the day. Again, we are going to do boom, N8N AI automation workflows. So these are what we're trying to do is some of the most powerful automation solutions that can drive efficiency, right? And again, like instead of maybe focusing on all of the different automations out there, these are the ones that I would, if I was to suggest, hey, these are the ones you should become an expert at if you want to be, say, an AI automation because people are going to suggest this and that and the other thing, but it's like really a lot of times you should try to start steering your clients towards these, and you should be good at these. And then also, these are the ones you could also potentially create an app for, or containerize and put out there, because these are the ones that make sense for people. These are the ones that should provide the most amount of value. And like as we all know, like the part of the reason why we're here is a huge amount of time is spent on repetitive digital work. These are things that are ripe for AI automation. And you're really, like, I think a lot of people look at this as, and I bring this up, that we're going to lose jobs. And instead, theoretically, what we can do is just empower people to do the high value work that they actually should be doing instead of low leverage tasks. And N8N creates a very easy, intelligent, integratable, controllable automation backbone. So, and just, like, I know that a lot of us are N8N, we'll just say knowledgeable, but, it's always good to keep these things in mind. So it is secure and open source. It is both visually designed and technically extensible. And I think that is what makes it so powerful and so popular, is that you do have that visual UI interface, but then, the structure of it is, as we were saying, like with AgentKit, AgentKit's a little bit limited. And then, like, when you want to do more things, they're like, oh, well, just integrate Make or N8N. Right. With N8N, it has a huge number of nodes that are very commonly used, and then its HTTP node allows you to add any API service that you want. And then you also can do on-prem, cloud, or hybrid environments, right? So you have all kinds of different deployment options. And also, as I've said before, like N8N could be a great way to do proof of concept, MVP, get things off the ground. And then if it does, cost, there is a cost that's inherent to it if you start to scale up. But then if it's working at that level, you've already succeeded. And from there, potentially just take that working algorithm that you're using in workflow and then translate it to Python or something like that. And, you've already won half the battle if you're at a point where you're scaling to that level. So, and I think that this is important, right? Like, there's the AI aspect of it, but you could have N8N with no AI in it, right? AI is really just what superpowers this automation platform, right? And so it has things like structured logic, API connections, which is like the most important thing, the AAAs, API, automation, and AI, right? Those three things together are what make these workflows possible. Automated triggers, right? So you can trigger it manually, or you can trigger with things like basically, like, typically what we would do in coding is have a cron job, but here you can just set a clock essentially, and it will do things temporally. Or as we've seen in some of our workflows, you can have an email trigger it, or you could have a Slack message trigger it, or something like that. The AI portion, though, does give you the ability to have intelligent decision making, or things like text summarization. Any of these LLM tasks are now available in N8N, and as well as content generation, right? So it can generate content either using an LLM or image generation, video generation. We've seen that. And then content classification, or essentially like in those summarization, classification, analysis type of roles. And then when you put them all together, you've got workflows that are adaptive and intelligent, that give you control of the operations, and that are scalable, right? That you can take it and it can be used. And essentially, you should scale. you should start with something that is easy and simple, and then scale up and up and up from there. So the first one, and I think when people ask me what is the number one AI workflow that people are going to be looking for or companies are looking for, it is lead generation. People want leads, lead generation and qualification, and that's where the AI can really help out here, because aspects of lead generation you really do just need automation for, but by adding AI and having it be able to make decisions and take in whatever the information is for being able to qualify a lead. And typically when you're trying to qualify, like when you look at it logically yourself, what are you doing that you would do to qualify a lead, right, for whatever your metrics are. And then you can have an AI agent in there, an LLM agent, doing very similar, logical sort of analysis on the factors that go into qualifying your lead. And so you can do real-time capture across inbound channels. You can use AI for enrichment and scoring. You can automatically route it to your CRM and your sales teams. And by doing this, you can get faster responses and higher close rates, right? So it's like, instead of having to wait for your sales team or your client sales team to do any of these things, it could be pretty automatic. And maybe you don't want it to be within seconds, right? That might seem a little bit weird to your clients, is that, wow, they always respond within 5 seconds of whenever I send an email. But if they don't have to wait a day or two, right? Instead, they can easily get that initial response. And again, like I've seen some companies that are trying to build AI agents that will sort of a voice agent that will walk through a client through an entire sales pitch and everything. I don't know about that, right? Like we're not totally there. Some company might be out there pitching it. I think that there is still an aspect that humans want that human somewhere, but a lot of these initial outreach emails, and the cold email aspect, re-engagement emails, things like that, where things are somewhat formulaic, but then you can also have an LLM help you with that. These are, I think, really good solutions that you can have N8N and automation solutions in. So here's a couple of different lead gen workflows. You basically can set up multi-channel capture, so then you have a web form through Google Ads, and then it can be generating you leads, and people are booking things through Calendly. You can use enrichment and classification, right? So then this is using something like Clearbit or Apollo, and then once it's getting that enriched information, you can use OpenAI with a set of prompts to be doing scoring for you on those leads, and so then you can start to make your system more efficient. You can use an automation workflow that can push your high-value leads into a CRM, or connect to Slack and notify your sales team. And then you can use AI for lead scoring to determine different follow-up sequences, right? Based on what the response was from your lead, or their value. And again, like these are, I would suggest for all of these, like you could, of course, like if you look at what this does, you capture, you enrich and classify, or you do the enrichment and classification, then you do the reach out, and then once you get a response, you can do routing and alerting and prioritization. These could all be put together in one gigantic AI automation, but I would, again, try to do these all individually, piece by piece. And then really, again, as I talked about yesterday, I would be doing a lot of these things initially first somewhat manually, just to prove that aspects of them work before you start to just have AI do everything for you. And like there could be a hybrid where you're doing them both manually, again, with AI assisting you along the way, but then just blindly having AI do some of this stuff along with automation. You could build the most complex, workflow ever. And theoretically it's great, but then like practically it's not providing you any solutions. And then here we have this just like looking at an impact story. So you can get automated lead routing from LinkedIn in Typeform directly into your CRM, right? So this would reduce your lead response time from 9 hours to 15 minutes, which is pretty good. I think that will, 9 hours can really give your lead a chance to start to look somewhere else, right? But 15 minutes is a good amount of time, and increase the demo bookings by, and then just in general, the sales reps are spending less time on qualifying leads and more time closing leads, right? So just using your team more effectively and efficiently and getting that higher close rate and just faster sort of movement on these leads. And so again, like you can use AI to work in this entire lead gen pipeline, from helping with doing the cold emails, scheduling, lead quantification and qualification, re-engagement, things like that, and really reduce the amount of time that you or a team of sales reps has to spend working on these aspects. Okay, content creation and distribution, right? And I think that this one, especially, it depends on what the business model is, right, for a specific client. But like, for a lot of companies who are looking for either SEO or AIO, right, they need content. They need content either in the form of blogs, right, or web pages, WordPress pages, Medium blogs, things like that. But then also content for social media, to increase that social media presence. That stuff is pretty tedious and time consuming. It is typically a longer tail, I would say, right? Where like if you are just a longer timeline, theoretically, if you are able to get an automated AI lead generation system, it can help you pretty instantaneously with the speed at which things are being done and the results that you can get, right, with getting those new leads. With something like, I guess you would get results pretty quickly from blog generation, social media post generation, just because now somebody doesn't have to do that work. Instead, you have AI working on it for you. But those type of things like SEO and social media impact do typically take months and sometimes years for the channels to grow to the point where they're actually profitable, or where they're actually making, it's usually months, for SEO or even now, again, AIO impact. So you can pull, information from Notion, RSS feeds like Google Trends or Airtable to have your different campaign ideas. Use OpenAI to draft posts, blogs, or we were talking about yesterday, LinkedIn carousels, or even just LinkedIn posts, right? And Slack alerts for editors, version control, and Notion, right? So you could, you don't necessarily want to just post all this stuff automatically, but then have something in Slack or however, right? You could, put all this stuff into a Google Drive, and then I guess the same thing, like alert somebody through WhatsApp or Slack or Gmail or whatever, and then schedule the actual distribution. Once you've taken a look at it and you've approved it, then have it, distribute it through LinkedIn, X, Instagram, WordPress, whatever. And essentially you could have something RSS trigger, right? So again, like Google Trends, you get the trend, it goes, then it generates content with OpenAI or anything, right? It could be doing it through Gemini, it could be doing it through DeepSeek, whatever. Using a Grammarly API, that's actually pretty interesting. I haven't tried that one before. And then getting approval through Slack, and then once it's approved, go and hit schedules, right? And again, all these different pieces you would break up individually. I might just stop saying that, say that very often, but I guess it's always worth knowing, because even I still just dive right in and try to put together things all at once. Yeah, like I think that this is the type of thing where if you look at the amount of time that people spend on it, it becomes prohibitive. And it's just, you always have something else to do than to put together a blog, right? Or to, work on social media. And sometimes maybe there are times when you do have a specific social media post that makes sense that you want to do, like you have a sale coming up, or whatever, like a special thing that just happened. But consistency is a huge deal with social media, and for any of these different channels to maintain an audience. And so if you're not consistently posting, then that's not great for your algorithm, right? Or for your audience. And so just having this backbone of social media posts that are always going, again, might take some time to really see, but that's the point, is that it takes so long at times to get an effect on this, that staying consistent with posting social media for 2 years is rough, but having N8N just do it for you, it's a lot easier. Reduced content production time from 14 days to 3 days. I think you could probably even reduce it further from that. Yeah, I guess maybe if there's a lot of editing going on in there. 80% of blog content workflow automated end to end. I think, again, like that's a number that I like to push a lot. Like you want to try to get 80 to 90% of the work done automated, and then there's still 10 to 20% that you have to do. We are not at the point typically where I would just let AI handle 100% of the work for me. Internal operations and administration. So this is the way so you could scale your operations without adding more people. Employee onboarding and offboarding. For major companies, this is a bigger deal. Meeting and action pipelines using AI transcription. I've seen companies like trying to implement this in a variety of ways. I do think that there is a little bit more of an art than a science here, where great, AI just transcribed the meeting, but then what? Right now you have a full transcription of an hour-long meeting. What's a good sort of agent to take that in and then process that and do something more useful? And then automated HR and finance reminders. So here's some examples of what you can do with ops workflow. You have the HR spreadsheet, then it goes to Google Workspace, Slack, and Notion. And this can basically just take that initial information and then just automatically set up these different accounts for people. You can take meeting content and turn it into actionable tasks. So use Zoom, use Whisper, or whatever transcription. I'm a DeepGram user all the time. From there, GPT summary, and then Notion, Jira tasks, right? And so with a lot of these, there is the connective part of it is just connecting APIs, right? Zoom, great. I got Zoom. I had to figure out how to connect that to something. From there, Whisper transcription, great. We're transcribing it. It's that GPT summary part where you can really potentially set yourself apart. And that's true with all this stuff, is that, all right. There is probably 2 levels that you can really distinguish yourself at. One is the intelligent architecture and strategy behind setting up these workflows and making sure that they have solutions for errors, right? Or that it's checking for certain things, or that it's giving really smart places where you can have human in the loop, right? And then the second is in your whatever you're using, but your prompting strategy with the content, right? Either when it was prompting to generate you blog posts, or prompting to generate quote unquote summarized meeting information, right? And getting the best version of that in a repeatable manner that is useful to people, right? And getting feedback on what's working, what's not working, and then adjusting your prompt mechanism to giving you that as high quality information as possible. And potentially this is a multi sort of agent solution so that you're not putting too much work on one LLM call and breaking that up into multiple pieces. And then you could do something where it's scheduling recurring tasks and reminders, right? So you have a cron job, which means that it's doing it on a schedule. It's doing compliance reminders, and then from there handling expense deadlines. So you could do Google Sheet, right? So that's the spreadsheet. Then that triggers account creation nodes. That also goes and does Slack announcements, and then you update things in your Notion database, right? And so this is a way where, boom, instead of having somebody manually go through and do all these things, you could just do one button click and it automatically updates and sets up all these accounts for somebody. And again, like if you have a small SMB, it's not as necessary, but like companies that bring in hundreds of people a day or something like that, like larger companies, I don't know, 100 might be a lot, but hundreds of people a week, 100 people, like some of these major companies are doing that. And so that process being automated would save them an incredible amount of time, right? So even something like this, right? So if you can get IT and onboarding time reduced per hire from 90 minutes to 10 minutes, again, that's that 80%, 90% reduction rate, getting all of their meetings documented with AI and summaries. And in general, they were saving the operations team 20 hours, right? And so if you see all the different onboarding, all the different documentation, and then also some of these automated tasks, then you can get these time reductions, and really like being able to do that not just with one company but multiple companies. And now you have something. Data sync, enrichment, and reporting. So enable real-time, accurate, and actionable data. The last one's probably the most difficult. Real-time and accurate, again, it's sort of like the other aspects is just connecting things together and getting them to work. Actionable data is really where you may need to get feedback with your client, working to figure out what data is actually actionable and important. Automated cleaning and normalization. Cleaning and normalization are big aspects of data. And then seamless synchronization across systems. AI generated summaries, reports, and dashboards. Again, this is very similar to the content generation or even the meeting summarization. The prompting that you do in there is going to be extremely important. Let me just check in to see if we have what's going on. Hacker Heaven, if you're an ecom, be sure to allow AI robots to call. Hi everyone, glad to be here. Cool. All right, let's get back to it. Data cleaning. So data cleaning, if you have a great data cleaning solution, this is probably one of those things that it's like going to be, what would you say, like almost like a hidden stealth thing that all these companies are going to need, and they don't even realize it, right? It's one of these things they don't know that they don't know, is that they have unclean, unformatted data, and that is holding them back from doing AI. And by providing that solution, you now open them up to AI. There was somebody who was on one of our calls, this was like a month ago, who was saying that they were working on, I don't know if they got anywhere, how far they got with this. She wanted to do an automated system that would automatically figure out people's workflows and be able to translate that into something that was understandable to be able to create automated workflows. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what we need. Like if you look at the issues that basically companies are having with adopting AI and then creating AI solutions for those, right? And so these are probably, I would say, two of the biggest ones as far as sort of logistical things that companies don't realize that they need to fix, or that they don't realize are issues with them being able to adopt AI. And one is their inability to explain what their workflows are, and two, their data sucks, essentially. It's a nice way of saying it. Well, that's maybe not the nicest way of saying it. So data cleaning, cron trigger, deduplication, and formatting standardization. Yes, cross-system sync, Salesforce, Google Sheets, Postgres in real time. Absolutely. AI reporting. So yeah, exactly. Use again, probably a more complex and sophisticated AI agent system to do the AI reporting. Setting up, say, like a RAG system, we talked about this the other day, that just gives you information is simple. Doing one that gives a good report is a little bit more complex. But again, if you have a good report generation system for either an industry or for a company, generating a report takes a huge amount of time. You can create an agent that will do that well. You can go pretty far with that. So this fintech firm, right, 6 a.m. daily dashboards updated each morning. Then that triggers a AI agent that does a GPT written executive summary, 0 to 100%, right? So if you look at this, there 100% I think is a little bit strong, but and I would still probably have, but I mean, with some of this, you possibly could get away with just having it. I mean, with the dashboards and things like that, for sure, like having the dashboards updated with new data every day, that is probably a 0 to 100% thing, and that isn't as AI necessarily as much as it's automated, and that's why, you know, automated tasks with roughly no AI in them can get to 100% efficiency. Customer support and success, right? So these are the chat bots. This is probably one of the most, between this and forms of lead generation, because I think that these kind of can go hand in hand. These are probably the two most sought after, I think, AI solutions out there. The other stuff I feel like are the things that people don't realize that they need, although they are gaining in popularity. Forms of customer service and then lead gen. Basically, I think people are annoyed with talking to their customers essentially, or their clients. And so if they could just have AI do it, that's, you know, going to help them out. But then also this is, you know, and you've probably already interacted with these types of systems, but like even, you know, something like AI classification of tickets, you know, being able to provide, what is it, QA or, you know, basically like help, automated help that goes well is great. And then being able to, again, like having an AI system as like your front line, but then being able to bring in a human when needed. So classification and routing. So you have IMAP trigger. So basically email comes in, use GPT to classify it. And then from there, from that classification, route it to the proper person using Zendesk or Slack. Draft responses. So use a RAG database, essentially, grab that information to, you know, generate a response with GPT, and then have someone review it. I was actually talking to somebody recently about essentially this exact workflow. And then escalation, when you get incredibly negative sentiments, auto flags, and put those as high priority cases, right? So then you can essentially prioritize what's, you know, a whole bunch of like curse words in their message, you know, let's prioritize that a little bit stronger. Compliance, risk, and monitoring. And again, these are things that are not as, I guess, like on the tip of the tongue or as forward with a lot of clients, but as we get farther and farther in, people are going to be looking for this more, and this is something that would save them time. They just haven't really a lot of times thought about it yet. Continuous compliance with manual audits. Can monitor Slack, Drive, GitHub for sensitive data, policy enforcement, and real-time audit trail generation. So this can do sensitive data monitoring, schedule scans for different types of keywords, policy enforcement, trigger alerts, revoke access, or auto quarantine files, audit trail, log all security events in Notion or as a secure DB. So just do, again, like a cron trigger. So this will just happen regularly, goes through the file API nodes, does pattern matching to look for, you know, these keywords or these issues, does a Slack alert, and then DB logging. And then finally, strategic AI agents. They can interpret unstructured inputs like emails, Slack reports, classify the intent to trigger workflow dynamically, lead or ticket scoring for intelligent prioritization, and then are reactive for processing. So this one, I would say, is a little bit more of that next level. Like this is extremely valuable if you can do it, but really if you see what it's doing, like a lot of it would be, I feel like you get the other workflows to work first, and then this is that next level sort of logical system that can handle things. And so it can do intent classification, you have a scoring agent, or adaptive organization, right? Orchestration, sorry. And this does give you the ability to, again, you have a new lead, you have GPT scoring, and then a route based on score thresholds. So that is similar to what we showed before in the lead generation. And you get a Slack email input GPT, and then that routes things to the workflow. These, again, are a little bit more intelligent, but this is, once you can kind of tackle the rest of the workflows, and if you can get that far with things, then having those sort of get automated based on the emails or messages from people would be, again, super useful. And now you're starting to cut that 80% efficiency to 90% efficiency. So I think I'm probably going to sound, I'm always sounding like a broken record, but target high frequency, repeatable workflows first. Yes. You want to target things that people are spending a lot of time on. I think that a lot of times people kind of just come up with ideas of things that AI can do for them, and they don't do just this simple analysis of, well, how much time are you actually spending on that, right? Or how much time would you be spending on that if you were doing it well and doing it all as often as you would like to. I would say it's like something like social media posting could be like that, where it's like, well, we're not really spending that much time on it. It's like, yeah, but you are supposed to be, right? The same thing with like blog generation. It's like, well, we don't really, our blog is kind of dead. It's like, well, if you were to do this well, how much time would it take? Automate data movement before adding AI. Automate, well, I don't know. I guess, yeah, I mean, I would say break it up into steps for sure. And do one and then test out the other. I guess it depends on the actual job, but I could see it going both ways. Centralized workflows to reduce SaaS sprawl, absolutely. And I get a lot of, or at least a fair number of people talking to me about that as well, where all these different products are all over the place, and how do we centralize this so that it's easy to just get one either main dashboard or one, something where we can control everything. And then apply AI strategically where it adds clear value, decision value, any type of value, like where you are absolutely getting value. Yes, build for visibility, error handling, and scaling. Those are three great things to be thinking about as you're building things. Visibility, in that people are already worried about AI in a lot of different ways. And so making it more visible on a bunch of different fronts so that it's easy for them to interact with it, so that they can see the process, see what it's doing. Error handling, because you are going to get errors. And so if you are not having any type of solution, even if it is just human in the loop to handle errors, that's something. And then scaling, that is, again, the good thing about N8N is that you can scale with it. And I do think that these are what you're looking for, right? You speed, insight, control, leverage. Speed and leverage are, the things that like can just, sort of, I'm not saying like brute force, but just like more power, essentially, right? We can do things faster. We don't need as many people. And then, getting better, right? Insight and control, right? So instead of, not just getting more work done, but having more information about the work and being able to control your work better. Okay, so N8N gives organizations faster process and greater control, quick implementations. You have a strategic approach. So is anybody working on N8N workflows that address any of these needs that I just brought up here? Actually, let me just check the chat to see if there's anything else. 100%, that's DI. Cool. Big aspect where most humans' attention should be, for sure. So anybody want to talk about any workflows they're working on that fit in here? Or anybody have any experience with these? Lead generation, content generation, data cleaning and deduplication, operations.
Specifically with N8N flows?
Well, either. So N8N is fine, but then if you're using another platform to automate it with automation and AI, that's fine too.
Oh man, yeah. So you ever used Abacus before?
What is Abacus?
So if you want to create really strong agents, you should check out Abacus.
Interesting.
Yeah, Abacus AI is very good. So what I've done in essence is, yesterday we were talking about a little bit of these land graphs and
Yeah.
graph rags. And
Yep.
so what I do is I create the agents in Abacus. Then all my data banks are in graph links. That's how I create that sort of like second brain that we were talking about yesterday. But then you can do that too for social media. You can do it for, possibilities. If you noticed yesterday, all I kept saying was you can do anything as long as you have a solid agent. So I just think like if you have a solid agent, you can just connect it and you're good. That's my experience so far, and I have hundreds of agents doing hundreds of things.
You have hundreds of agents doing hundreds of things for you?
Yeah, man.
That's a lot of agents.
Yeah, well, I run an agency, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
You run an agency?
I have an agentic platform.
Okay.
So I just create agents left and right, either for myself or my clients or whatever we're doing. So yeah.
Very, very cool. Yes, co-use is the best LMS. Abacus is cool. He lives in cyberpunk. He does. Paul, go for it.
So I'm an architect. I'm not a developer. So I create products. So I've got two things. One is I help businesses optimize and basically create more profits in their businesses. But one of the products that I'm actually using, I created for myself, was a custom GPT on evaluating private equity investments. So I get a lot of deal flow coming my way. If it's multifamily, if it's private credit. And so what happened is I built a real good custom GPT based upon, some really good stuff. And what I'd like to do is offer it to a community that I belong in. I'm in a group, and I was wondering if there's an option. So what I did is I vibe coded a front end. Okay, so it's a private equity analyzer. So there's a vibe coding front end, and then to create something on N8N with the webhooks, it's a subscription-based product. So that I'd sell it for $99 a month. And then when somebody gets a deal flow of, say, some sort of a multifamily opportunity, they could plug it in. And then I've already created all the back end stuff. So I've got some really cool, call it RAG information that I've created to evaluate certain investments, if it's multifamily, private equity, private credit, etc. And then it gives a scorecard evaluating that deal against other deals, and if it's a yes or a no, and then it creates emails to the sponsor, etc. So I've created the custom GPT. It works fabulous. It's like, okay, I want to monetize it now and create a subscription. How do I do that?
So I don't think you can just connect a custom GPT to a front end.
Right. So I'd have to recreate all of this in N8N.
Right. Or in AgentKit potentially, and then just connect that, and then connect the other aspects of that to N8N. Because as we were bringing up, are you familiar with AgentKit?
Well, I've just seen the videos. Now I use Lindy AI a lot, and I'm assuming that it's kind of like Lindy in its way.
Right. But it is built by OpenAI, right? And so then it may be very easy for you to translate your custom GPT into an agent kit, and then use, I think they call it Chat Kit, to be able to connect that to your front end.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to hire like I'm a good architect and I'm looking to build a team around me. So I'm the good use case guy. So I know I've owned multiple businesses, I've sold businesses. So I'm the architect and I know what needs to be solved, and I'm a tinkerer in understanding where all this is going. But I do not want to be a developer. I don't want to be an N8N. No. So I'm on here today to see, what can be done and how it can be done and I love the low cost today that you can test things. It's unbelievable how cheap you can go to market and experiments. So that's where so if I wanted to in this network, if I wanted to hire somebody to help me, does this network have does it have a place to be able to connect and work with multiple people like on this call, or people that have more know-how? Because I don't want to I'm an architect. I have the connections. I solve the problems. I don't want to be a developer.
Yeah. Does anybody else on here know, is there an easy way to find somebody through our network to ask for help? Is there like a community forum where you can just drop that? Well, you could just ask Alex, right? Because Alex builds agents.
Sorry, I was in the process of actually building an agent. I missed, what is it that you are?
Yeah, Alex, the one thing I'll tell you that I'm very, very concerned about, you said Abacus. Abacus is a Chinese product. So, the clients I work with,
Okay.
data security is everything. Okay, so this is very important. Very
So it has to be American built. Okay, that's cool.
And security, always SOC. I mean, there's a lot of, depending which clients I'm working with.
Is it going to be here in the US or is it going to be in Europe?
Again, I got multiple.
But the reason why I'm asking is it makes a difference.
Right, but again, it just there's multiple things I'm working on right now. I'm just curious on when a project comes along, if I'm looking to. I've got a couple of Lindy people that I brought on my team and other people, and I like sitting on these calls because, Jeff, when I listen to you and I understand, like from this call, now I can see what can be done. So now that's amazing. It's like unbelievable. I just got to find the who's to do it.
What is it that you're looking to do, though? I'm sorry.
I solve other people's problems.
Sure. What is it specifically that you're trying to build?
I have a custom GPT right now that I want to create a front end to sell a subscription based upon the custom GPT that I've created.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that there's so many ways to go about it. Do you want to touch a CRM to that? Because how are you going to manage those clients, right?
Again, if I created if it's a SaaS-based solution, it would have a database on the back end that would do the billing with Stripe and everything else.
Man, I know it sounds so much easier than it really is. Long, short, no code alone is not going to help you.
Right.
If you find a developer, they will use no code to enable and speed up process. But what you're looking to do, so you have a couple of issues, security, both the way, and then you also have cookie handling nowadays, which is a big problem. And then on top of that, depending on how you're securing it, are you securing the data yourself? Are you going to secure the servers yourself? So there's a lot of questions just on the security part alone, depending on what parts of the world. And if you're going to be working both in Europe and the United States, you might want to segment that in two different data banks in order to not to create issues for yourself. So there's a few technicalities that need to be looked into, but then having it not be Chinese, that's easy. Actually, that's not hard. Most people just use that to save money, to be honest with you. So yeah, man, I mean, look me up. My chat is open, and yeah, let's chat. Because I feel like there's going to be a lot that needs to be asked before you truly have a concept of what and how you need to build it. I don't think you're on the wrong side of things. I just think that there's just a lot more to it than might meet the eye.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but shoot me a text. Anyone, just shoot me a text if you have. Not to take over again, Jeff, man. See, I'm sorry.
I mean, we need help. This is what a community is for, right? People helping people. I'm just here to facilitate the calls. But I do have to drop. I'm going to drop off. If people want to continue to talk on this call, they can go right ahead. I will see everybody either Monday or Tuesday next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.